What's up, guys? It's McNulty here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to the second May balance update. Amazing. We've had one and we need another one apparently. So let's have a look over this update and we'll see what they've done with our beloved heroes. Hopefully there is some good stuff in here. I'm really crossing my fingers and toes and hoping that we've got some good updates in here. So we'll see what they're saying about this second balance update that they've had to make. So it says, when we take big swings on an innovative new game feature such as Insanity, we do our best to calibrate and test the feature before launch. Okay. Well, take that with a grain of salt. Nothing beats real world testing to find scenarios in which a new feature performs far better or worse than planned, and to suggest ways we can carefully adjust the feature to be more reliable without sacrificing the original vision. Now, I am inclined to agree with that. I think that real world testing in the game definitely does play a massive part in whether your new heroes are balanced as much as you think they are, but beta testing is also important. So you need to listen to the beta testers. I'm sure they would have had a few things to say about this insane insanity effect before it was launched. But yeah, just listen to them. That's all. So it says, today we're making one such adjustment to Atwood. As I've been saying, I feel like I called this, but Atwood, one of the first secret heroes they released with all the new insanity mechanics, was absolutely bananas, and he's been owning things. So it says, as subsequent heroes with insanity have entered the game, their synergies with Atwood have risen to unintended levels. To address this, we are subtly adjusting the balance of insanity his special skill distributes to enemies and to himself. It's crazy to think that someone afflicted with such levels of insanity would play so well with others. That's pretty laughable, just because it's like, it's your hero that you released and it's your mechanic that you designed. So you should have known that how he would interact with others. So that the other secret heroes are not disproportionately affected by this change to their synergy with Atwood, we're also buffing Dolores, Omen, and Melancholia with stat increases. This is obviously necessary because these are some of the rarest heroes in the game. In fact, they probably are the rarest heroes in the game. So the people who will have pulled these heroes are the people who are going to be dropping some serious cash, some serious dinero on these heroes. So they are the ones that are going to be affected, and you need to be very careful with pissing off whales. You just need to be super careful with it. So it says, while we're at it, we heard your concerns that some members of the Owl family were overlooked in the last balance update, and we're happy to correct that. Fulvia, thank goodness, Fulvia has needed a buff, and Omidus are both receiving buffs this time around. This update includes increases for familiars, HP caps, selected costume bonuses, and a couple of construct heroes. Let's have a look at the actual changes that they made then. So we'll start off with my man Atwood. So they've increased his direct damage from 350 to 380%. That is pretty huge. Yes, he is an average speed hero, but you know, a damage increase up to 380% is still pretty huge. The insanity inflicted to enemies has now been reduced from 55 to 45, so it's a 10 insanity decrease on what he inflicts to enemies. Like they said in the update, obviously the fact that he's been paired with other heroes from this family has been making them, they're really super survivable at the top of the leaderboard. I think they're just, people are getting frustrated because they can't get to the top of the raid leaderboard without insanity, you know, without these heroes, because he just works so well by giving that massive amount of insanity to the enemies right away. And he's increased the insanity that he gives to himself, so there's kind of a downside to that. But again, I still think that if you're pairing him with other heroes in the same family, it's not going to make that big of a difference. And he is the only one of these heroes that hasn't actually received a stat increase. So it must just mean that they know that Atwood is pretty OP compared to the rest of the Insanity family. So yeah, I'm all for that buff to Atwood, or the nerf to Atwood. I don't know what you really want to call it, because they've increased the damage, reduced the insanity. I think it will probably make him a little bit more balanced, but in the world of these insane heroes, there's balance is not a word to take, to use really, because it doesn't really describe the way that this effect works. It's just bananas. And then the mega minions and fiends. This is a pretty big thing that they've done here. So maximum HP increased for double limit broken heroes, not for single limit broken heroes, for double limit broken heroes. So again, alpha ethers are needed. Mega minions have increased max HP from 2,000 to 4,000. That's huge. I mean, doubling the HP of those, making them stronger than an additional hero with full limit breaks and emblems. I mean, that's like 1.5 extra heroes in that minion. So I don't know, how big of an impact that's going to have. I think it's probably going to be a good idea to get your minion destroyers ready, because they can at least chop that down by half. But it does mean that we're going to be looking at some pretty extended battles against mega minion summoners. And then the minion and fiends, general minions and fiends, increased HP from 1,000 to 2,000. I would say that's probably a good thing, because it can make heroes more usable, like Ephira, who increases the HP of minions, like Frost, for example. So those heroes that summon beefy minions, it's quite a good increase on that. And they have probably had to do that increase because the amount of HP that the new heroes are being released with is not going to be able to keep up with the HP of the minions. Hope that makes sense. It makes sense in my mind. So anyways, that's what the mega minions, minions and fiends. Costume bonus increases. So the legendary toon costumes have got a buff. So the old was 40% attack, defense, 65% health, and 5% mana generation. The new is 50% attack, 50 defense, 70 health, nearly double health. It won't be too long before we see it at 100% health increase, I'm sure, and 5% on the mana generation. So they're really sticking to that mana generation bonus, which is good. It needs to be stuck to. But yeah, just massive boosts to the stats for the toon costumes. Legendary costumes of Atlantis, Lagoon, and Sakura families. Old 7%, 7%, 13 health, and 5 mana generation. The news 10 attack, 10 defense, 15 health, and 5 mana generation. This increase really needs to be higher. I mean, if you're going to boost the toons by 50%, from 40 to 50% and 65 to 70%, these increases really should be higher, because Atlantis, obviously, as we know, is the second season released. So these heroes, I feel like, are probably the most hard done by heroes in the game. It is an increase just for the regular family and not necessarily for the costumes. So that does mean something, but it's, again, I don't think this is quite as big of an increase as we need for the Atlantis families, really. We need a much bigger increase for those heroes. The hero changes. So again, the Investigator family, Dolores, we've seen her stats now increase from attack from 1,087 to 1,093, defense 1054 to 1062, and health 1771 to 1790. I mean, it's literally about a 1% increase across the stats for Dolores. Is it needed? Absolutely not. She's one of the most powerful heroes, or the most stat heavy heroes in the game, so really not necessary. Cultist family, Omen, stat increases very, very much the same, so about 1% across the board for his stats to be increased by. Again, he really doesn't need it. Melancholia, she's also got just a straightforward stat increase. Nothing special there, nothing changing in terms of her skill. I do think Melancholia could probably do with a rework, because she's probably the most detrimental hero to herself. I know they did buff her with the increase in the revive chance on the previous balance update, but again, I think that's just, working against her a little bit because of the way Insanity works. So yeah, not the hugest fan of Melancholia, to be fair. I was quite excited because of the revival percentage, but seeing how it's actually going to work, where it can be reversed completely against her, doesn't make her a very, very good hero or master of the Insanity effect. Anywho, Construct family, man, I called this one. Carter. Now, Carter has increased stats from, about 1% increase. So 1,000 attack to 1025. 1023 defense, 1038, 1969 to 2010 in the health department. But the big news about Carter is this mana generation buff increase from 24% to 33%. Much needed for Carter. It does make a massive difference because she's got that really cool effect where she sort of cleanses, lifts the ailments, and then she heals. And she's got that construct core with the boost, but it really wasn't that good in terms of the mana generation bonus. So now she's giving 33% health, 33% mana generation buff to the whole team. It means that you're going to be able to get your heroes up to those next mana breakpoints a lot quicker, and I feel like it's going to be making her a much more viable hero for attacking teams, especially in the top alliances at the top levels. So watch out. I think we're going to see Carter used a bit more, and she definitely needed that buff. And then who else do we have? Hornfell, just again a basic stat increase, nothing really much to see here. I think Hornfell really needs a rework of his special. That knockback effect is just not that great. I know I've had, I can't remember who it was now, Honeybee, I think, in the comments telling me about Hornfell and how good he is. And I was pretty mistaken in terms of the way that he can be used and how effective he is. But I think we still need to show this little guy, or big guy, a bit more love, because I think that they can do a bit more with that effect and make it a bit more usable. Just the fact that we've only seen that on a single hero shouts to me that it's not the best effect. Similar to like the sleep effect, we only see it with, you know, one or two heroes, and there's only really one that is a master of that effect. So yeah, definitely needs a little bit of a rework, just a bit of a touch up, but otherwise just an increase in his stats. Owl family, Fulvia. So Fulvia's Moonrise Strike damage has been increased from 1240 to 1440. It seems like a pretty big increase, but I think she definitely needed that because the power creep with the owls just went, you know, rocketed straight through the roof from when they were released. But the big news is the mana decrease over time has been increased from 10% to 15% per turn. So her mana decrease applies at the end of the turn. So it's almost like a mana cut, and it's only to the target nearby. So she's not quite as effective as heroes like Luna, for example, that cut the mana and you don't know where it's going to fire off. For her, it's the target nearby. So when you put her on defense, if she gives the effect, she can sometimes only give it to 2 heroes, and then they're usually able to get that it's just a little bit too low, the mana cut. It is nice that it happens every single turn. So you can think of her like a Leiju, but only to the target nearby, but where it actually carries on into the next sort of 2 turns after you fire off the effect. So increasing her damage is a good thing. Increasing the mana decrease over time is a good thing. So if you do have Fulvia, I think that she's probably going to be serving you a little bit better than she was before. Omidus Moonrise Strike damage has been increased from 1700 to 2000. This was expected, I would say, because you know, he is at slow speed doing kind of less damage than Timaeus is. I know Timaeus is more like a premier hero, and obviously he's running a lot faster. But still, for a slow speed hero, you'd expect him to be doing some pretty serious damage. And the Fiend Destruction and the mana gained on Fiend Destruction is really a quite niche effect. So Omidus does need that increase in damage. So in summary, I mean, all in all, I'm not mad at this update, to be honest. I don't see anything here that I wouldn't probably agree with. If anything, I think that there should be a couple more buffs in here. But overall, good job. This is a lot better video than we had for the other Made Balance update, I can tell you that much. So I won't say that SG quite won me over again yet, but I'm certainly getting there. This is a good step in the right direction. Actually, yeah, the only thing that's pissed me off a little bit is that they're not increasing the stats for the Atlantis family heroes a bit more. But hopefully we will see that, you know. If anything, I think that's probably the worst part of this update. But for the most part, not too shabby. So yeah, hopefully some of you guys are affected by this update in a positive way. Please do share in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are on the second May balance update. Also, drop us a like, subscribe to the channel, share it with your mother, and I'll see you all again in the next video. But till then, all the best. Take care. Bye.